Hello everyone, this is Jake, your resident content cowboy here. Yeehaw! And I'm back with another Pokemon Unite guide. I'll have Pokemon Unite guides hopefully for every Pokemon here very, very soon. Right now I want to talk about everyone's favorite chunky boy. What a sweet chunky boy. Gengar! Here we are. Gengar is a tough Pokemon. The difficulty says expert, and they are absolutely right. I think Gengar is an expert tier Pokemon. However, once you figure out what's good about Gengar, he becomes really simple and really fun. When I first picked him up, I was confused. I was not sure what was going on and how I was going to get this guy to work. But let's take a look at some of his moves first, and we can get a good idea of how we might like to build Gengar. In this video, I'll go over 3 possible build styles, all the held items and battle items that I think are good for Gengar. We're also going to see some gameplay footage of matches I did with Gengar where I think we used him to, just perfection. Well, not perfection, let's be honest. But I think it went really, really well. Let's take a look at these moves. Here we are looking at the move and evolution progression of Gengar. He starts as a little Ghastly, then Haunter, and then finally Gengar, and you don't even have to trade him, and you wouldn't want to anyway. But that would be cool, right? If, Machamp, you had to switch it with another trainer inside the match. That's just, that's an idea that's not gonna work, but would be fun. Here we go. We have Will-O-Wisp and Lick as Gengar's first abilities. I think you would always take Will-O-Wisp. I mean, I could see using Lick if you really want to pull someone, but oftentimes as Gengar, you're going to play him in the jungle. Will-O-Wisp is just a better first power. Shoots multiple flames out, dealing damage and leaving the Pokemon burned when hit. I said the Pokemon, but I meant the opposing Pokemon. And then we have Lick. Attacks with the user's tongue and pulls opposing Pokemon toward the user. This is really nice when you decide to get out of the jungle and go for your gank. However, you're going to start with Will-O-Wisp. I just think it's the better call to start with as you move towards the jungle. I will have some information for people who are in lane, but even if you're in top or bottom lane because someone decided to take the jungle, which happens, maybe one of the biggest issues with Gengar is someone might take your jungle and then all of a sudden you're in lane with a suboptimal lender. Apparently this video is now about the housing crash. I would always take Will-O-Wisp. That's what I think. I think it's a better starter move. At level 5, you have your first real choice. Once you become Haunter, you have to decide between Shadow Ball and Sludge Bomb. Both are good, both have different uses. However, I will say there's one that I greatly prefer, and there's one Gengar build that I greatly prefer that I will show you in this video. First, let's take a look at Shadow Ball. You hurl a shadowy blob at the target, decreasing movement speed and special defense of the opposing Pokemon for a short time. Once it upgrades, it increases the damage. This ability has a really short cooldown, only 4.5 seconds between casting this, as opposed to his next ability, Sludge Bomb, which is 8 seconds. I find that Sludge Bomb combos better with the rest of his build. Shadow Ball is really nice, and I could see you using it in a lane build, but jungling, I would always take Sludge Bomb. You hurl an unsanitary sludge to a designated area, leaving the opposing Pokemon poisoned when it hits. It looks very similar to Venusaur's little area attack. However, this one does not stay there. It goes away the second you throw it, so you have to hit someone with it. Once you upgrade it at level 11, it increases the poison effect's duration. Both of these sound decent, and it really isn't until your next ability that you see why I think Sludge Bomb is usually a much better choice, especially for a jungler. Let's take a look at these next 2 abilities. We have Dream Eater, puts opposing Pokemon to sleep when it hits. If used again while a nearby opposing Pokemon is asleep, the user appears behind the sleeping Pokemon and attacks, restoring the user's HP and reducing the cooldown of Shadow Ball or Sludge Bomb. Dream Eater is fun, and it does combo pretty well. In a way, I could see it comboing almost better with Sludge Bomb because the cooldown on Shadow Ball is so low as it is, but you do set up an interesting combo. A Shadow Ball, Dream Eater, Shadow Ball with attacks between it, I think could be very, very strong. And of course, it restores HP, which is nice. When it upgrades, it increases the amount of damage dealt and HP restored. But let's talk about the move that I think is just, so amazing. Hex. It's a dash, and it has the user disappear and move to the designated location. Dealing damage to the opposing Pokemon in the area of effect, the user reappears. Okay, the big thing here is if it hits An opposing Pokemon that is afflicted by a status condition, it deals increased damage and its cooldown is reduced. Basically, if you hit someone with your earlier attack, Sludge Bomb, you are able to spam Hex on them. It's a great way to get rid of Pokemon, and that's your job as a speedster oftentimes, is to find an opening, get in the back lane, get rid of their carries. I want you to sneak up on a Cramorant, Pikachu, Ninetales with a move like this. You hit them with that Sludge Bomb from the jungle, and then you just jump in with Hex. Boom, 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 and you'll see some videos of me doing it. It is so good. I want to spend more time with a Dream Eater build, maybe even a Dream Eater Sludge Bomb build, but in general, my preference is Sludge Bomb, Hex from the jungle. Oh, I think Gengar is just a beast. Let's talk about his Unite move, Phantom Ambush. It kind of works similarly to the feeling of Hex, just without having to hit someone with Sludge Bomb. You disappear, and then you sort of reappear and pop up out of the ground and hit everyone. It deals damage to Pokemon in the area and decreases their move speed. It's another great jump out of nowhere and start targeting their weaker Pokemon. You're not going to want to use this move against a Snorlax or Slowbro or something like that. But if you can get to their back line and start taking out their squishier attackers, oh, Gengar is so good when you do that. I really love playing him as this sneaky jungling assassin. Next, we're going to take a look at battle items, held items, and we're going to see some footage of matches using multiple builds. For battle items, I'll keep this short and sweet. I think X attack is decent for when you know you're going to pop out and attack someone. I don't think X speed is a great choice. Fluffy Tail is good if you're going to be using it for jungling, but I think eject button is probably the best choice. Right now, I think it's the best choice for most Pokemon. You're able to escape, you're able to engage. As you can see from this image, you can even pop over obstacles with it. Slow Smoke is also an option, but I would run an eject button on Gengar. Held items could change depending on if you're laning or jungling, and there are a few options, but I think this is a great setup. Shell Bell gives you life back when you hit with an ability. You're going to be doing that a ton with Gengar. It also gives you special attack and cooldown. It's just a great item. Wise Glasses, a base amount of special attack increase. I could also see people using the special attack specs. I haven't used them a ton. I like Wise Glasses. I just like the baseline increase. And then Energy Amplifier is pretty amazing for Gengar because it gives you increased damage after you use your Unite move. You're going to be using your Phantom Ambush Unite move to start team fights or gank backline Pokemon. So I think this is an absolute must almost. It just powers you up. The second you use it, you're able to start hitting people even harder. I really like running this set of items. Some other options here, a Float Stone possibly, increasing your movement speed out of combat. However, Gengar already has that ability as a passive. When the Pokemon is not in combat, its movement speed is increased. Now you could stack it with that Float Stone, but the game's kind of giving you a Float Stone for free here. What a cool passive ability. I think this is clearly stating that this Pokemon is set up for ganking and jungling. So let's take a look at some Gengar gameplay here. All right, this is a Hex Sludge Bomb build. This was me throwing that Sludge Bomb, and then I was able to use Hex again, Sludge Bomb that little Pikachu, and got a couple kills there. KOs. KOs. I'll never get it right. Got a couple KOs there. So you can see the moment you hit with the Sludge Bomb, you can Hex, and your cooldown for your Hex pops right back up. It's so brutal. It's so brutal. I'm waiting for my Sludge Bomb to come back here. Oh, and then there's a Charizard in there that I'm going to try to get. Oh, Pikachu comes by to say hi. Hi, buddy. So I throw that Sludge Bomb again. Boom. Oh, he stunned me. Immediately able to Hex. Hex again. Boom, boom. Back to back. Hexes like that. See, it's really, really powerful. It's unbelievable that you can keep spamming that ability once someone has a status effect. It's just, ooh, it's so good. So, so good. This is my favorite way to build Gengar. You can see there, again, I'm just spamming my Hex on that Zapdos. Venusaur and I take it down. Throwing that Sludge Bomb. Hex. Hex. It's just brutal. And my Hex is still up. My Hex is still up. That's the big thing about this. This ability just lets you move in and gank anybody. I love it. Sludge Bomb, Hex, ganked. It's just, whoa, so good. I know I'm saying the same thing over and over, but I'm just watching this clip and remembering how much fun it is when I'm a jungling Gengar. This is me just using my Unite move for fun near the end of the match. Another Hex. Oh, time's up. Here is a second build option for Gengar. This is the Shadow Ball Dream Eater build. So the nice thing about this is the Shadow Ball's cooldown is pretty fast. Dream Eater works similarly to Hex, but it doesn't have the cooldown ability that Hex does. It's good and it gives you health back. I actually use this in a jungling build. I would rather have done the other. This feels more like a build that you could use in lane. Even in lane, I might take the other build. I need to spend more time with Dream Eater and Shadow Ball. I like the low cooldown of Shadow Ball. That's probably my favorite part of the build. It travels through neutral Pokemon. Besides that, I don't like this build as much, at least for what I was doing, which was jungling. Again, laning, you might want this because Shadow Ball comes up so often that when you're laning with someone like, let's say, Pikachu, and you start nailing them with Shadow Balls, their special defense goes down, and Pikachu's able to pick off a lot of the kills. KOs. You would be using it as a support role in that sense, rather than a ganking jungling role. You'd almost be playing as if you're an all-rounder inside the lane. I don't think it's a terrible choice, and if you really like Gengar, you can do it, but I do think the much, much stronger option, at least for jungling, is that Hex and Sludge. Here's a quick little example of using that Unite move in a different way. They catch me, so I go to run. They probably think I'm gone, and then boom, I pop right back up and start spamming my abilities on them. And we end up winning this team fight. I think we take the Zapdos too. So another fun way to use the Unite move is to trick someone into thinking that you are gone and then re-engaging in the fight. Finally, let's take a look at a Shadow Ball Hex build. I don't think this works as well, but it's a decent combination. The only problem is you don't get the big benefit of Hex's cooldown that you do with Sludge. But as you can see in this encounter, I'm attacking with my Shadow Ball often, much more often than you could with Sludge, and every time Hex comes up, I'm able to use it to pop behind them and attack. A good build, I just don't think it combos as well. It might be better, though, if you're in lane. Again, I think the real use for Shadow Ball would be if you are laning. You just have so many more opportunities to use it. Unlike with Sludge and Hex, if you miss your Sludge, you're on kind of a long cooldown. So you're a little more bursty, well, a lot more bursty with Sludge and Hex. But you don't get the benefit of just having this low cooldown, easy to hit Shadow Ball that you're throwing at all your enemies. A cool build, but if I were to suggest any one Gengar build, it is a jungling Sludge Hex build. And once you do that, oh boy, I mean, you're in for a real treat because Gengar is so good in the jungle. I might even just put out a separate video showing how you would move through the jungle, but jungling in this game is relatively easy. You just move into the middle creep, you take down both buff creatures, you take down one or maybe two other neutral creeps, and then you head to one of the lanes to gank somebody. That's it. That's the basics of it, and Gengar nails it. I hope you've enjoyed this Gengar best build guide. I'll continue to update it as new things happen in the game and the meta changes. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you play Gengar, I'm wondering what build that you often run. And if you don't and you play a different speedster, I'm wondering how you fare. Let me know. Thank you all much. Thank you all much, Jake. Get it together. Thank you all so much for watching and listening, subscribing. I really appreciate it. I will see you all next time. Goodbye. Mwah.